funny and it's fascinating. I've noticed something on this channel and just in general beyond this channel and conversations with different people, friends, even not that I have too many conversations, but critics, trolls, positive people, negative people, guys who take action, guys who don't take responsibility, guys who blame others, guys who don't blame others, guys who have good things to say about people, guys who don't have good things to say about people. Now, what's interesting is, if I talk about Nofap, usually at this moment in time, my video is going to get more views and there's going to be more comments. People have got things to say about that. And I've already said to you my opinion on the truth about that, the pros and the cons, that the essence of Nofap, the principle, is really good and I support it. You know, the essence is to abstain from masturbating, watching porn, so you can become a better version of yourself. But where I call bullshit on a lot of the guys who follow Nofap and use Nofap as a defense mechanism rather than a positive. So of course I'm not saying that all guys who do Nofap fit in this stereotype, because I'm intelligent enough to know that they don't. But the majority of people, especially people who comment on my videos, who ask me about Nofap, do I do Nofap? They're not taking responsibility in their lives. And I find it fascinating when I speak about things that are truthful and they're more powerful than Nofap and they've been around for many years, no one wants to talk about it. The videos won't get hardly any views. There'll be some diehard fans, people that are doing it. So example, boxing. When I start educating people and talking about the value of boxing, how boxing improves your mental health as a human being, how it gives you confidence, how it improves your confidence of women, how it gives you the mental and emotional strength to go out and live your dreams and especially dealing with fear and adversity, how it makes you a better human being. Obviously, if you give to it, if you train. Now, when I'm saying boxing, I'm not including you don't have to be a fighter. That's a separate matter, even though that is brilliant if you want to do that. I'm just talking about the training of boxing. Anyone can do it. Any guy can come in and do some of the things that you've seen me doing, the clips that I put up. But I've noticed the clips I put up, I know it's making an impact, but it doesn't get the comments that a video of Nofap. And I understand now. For a while I was a bit puzzled because the boxing stuff is more truthful and guys are fearful to look at that. Guys don't want to face that fear because it requires a lot of courage. Where with Nofap's a private discipline. No one's around. So if you're fapping, you can lie. No one knows about that. If you're managing not to fap, which I give you credit for, it takes a certain amount of discipline, no one's around. It's not public. But when you look at something like boxing, you've got to box and hit the bag and people have got to see you. You've got to face that fear of judgment. And you've got to go to a gym. So you've got to face public exposure. And most of you don't want to go there. I'm not knocking you. Where I am knocking you is where the arrogance of a lot of you, that you always want to have your opinion. You want to give me advice and you want to give other people advice who are more accountable than you are, who are more successful than you are, who are helping more people than you are, who are in a better place than you are. And you can't do that. It's like the blind leading the blind. I wouldn't give someone advice in life if I wasn't successful with the advice I was given, or I was at least applying it, or I had real experience. And a lot of you love doing that. You love being intellectual cowards. You love quoting from books. Like if I said favorite books, everybody would come on the video. So when I talk about boxing, because boxing is tough, the training, even if you don't fight, anybody will tell you that. But it changes your life. So if you did boxing and you did Nofap, most of you who have got your relationship issues, who can't get a girlfriend, who can't relate to women, who can't seem to get a date, I guarantee you'd be successful. And it's funny, sometimes the more I try and help, the more you try and help people that are ignorant, the more they reject it. They don't reject me, but they reject the help, but then they complain and they moan, and that's not being a man. It's not. It's having a really weak, shitty character out of choice. So of course you're going to cling to things like Nofaps and quick fix diets, things that are where you can get away with not being accountable, but you can't get away with that with boxing, obviously, because you've got to go out in the open, you've got to train. So most of you do not want to challenge yourself, and that's why you're unhappy. That's why your anxiety isn't improving. Another area, right, it's not just boxing, is public speaking. I've noticed every time I've been speaking about public speaking on this channel for almost a decade. Very few of you comment and say, do you know what, Johnny? Yeah, thanks for that. I need to do this. Do you know public speaking? I don't know if it's number one, but I know from studies before and just common sense and the amount of social awareness I've got, it's one of the top human fears. And I know because I faced it. But it's not a competition, but most of you haven't. So why don't none of you want to speak about the power of public speaking in terms of making you a better version of yourself? You don't want to speak about that. None of you want to do it because none of you got any balls. But you guys love using Nofap as a crutch. You love hiding behind that and lying to yourself. You can't lie to me because I've been coaching for almost a decade and I've worked through a lot of self-lies myself and continue. And I've always been, well, not always, that's not true. But for many years, I've been around people who are way more accountable than most of you guys are, way more honest, way more genuine. It's just truth. So when you're going to quit the bullshit and lying to yourself, when you're going to quit the fact that, yeah, you may be doing a little bit of Nofap, but your diet's bad, your fitness is bad, your health is bad, your grooming's bad, your attitude's bad, your social skills are bad, your sales skills are bad. There's many areas where you have insecurities and you're not facing them because of ignorance. And of course the ignorance comes from your own insecurities and fears and inability to take responsibility. So of course it's going to trigger you when I speak up about these things and tell the truth. But at the same time, none of you want to. Public speaking is probably the best thing any girl, any guy can do if they want to improve themselves. It absolutely changes your life because I'll run out of things to say. Number one, it's probably the best practice on planet Earth for getting good at dealing with fear and anxiety, learning to manage it, learning to get through it. There's not many other areas that are better than that. It's a public performance. Number two, it's great for your spirit and your soul because you're giving value to other people. When they come to listen to you speak, in so many ways you're helping them. Even if you're nervous and you share your story or you teach a subject or you answer questions or you do a role play or a comedy or improvisation, you are giving value to other human beings. Most of you don't give 1 ounce of value to people. What you do is you take value, and that's why you're so resentful and unhappy. So why don't we start speaking? Why don't you have some guts and balls between your legs to speak about things that are way more powerful than just hiding behind a label, a cult, a name, Nofap, intimate fasting, hiding behind these things when you know in your own heart you're not facing enough truth in your life, enough responsibility. What was the excuse? Now, being humble, being a better person would say, do you know what? You're right, Johnny. Public speaking would be great, but I'm scared to do it. Fine, that's great. At least you're honest. I can work with that. You can get somewhere with that. But when you're in denial, when you're arrogant, when you're trying to give someone advice who's done hundreds of public talks and changed loads of people's lives and faced life so much fear and gone through so much, when you try and give someone like that advice and you've not even done an ounce, you're just embarrassing yourself. You've got no right, you're not qualified. So I don't take advice from unqualified people. I take advice from people that are living their dreams or trying. So before you give advice, you want to really think about what you're doing in your life. Because all of you want to say quotes from other people, but what about a quote from your heart? Where's your quote? What about a quote from something that you've actually learned from what you've done? You haven't got any because you haven't taken any action. All you can quote is Nofap, 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 day 70, day 70. Yeah, day 70 and then you're back to fapping again. Day 75, you're still in the same place. You don't do public speaking. You don't do some training, boxing or MMA is the same. You know, the only thing I've noticed that some of you will speak about is you'll want to speak about certain fights that have happened, which is okay. I like boxing as well. So it really is like speaking to a brick wall, but I'm patient and I don't give up. So I've noticed this. I've noticed that even many videos that I do on really meaningful things like the social anxiety videos, all of you have it, all of you have social anxiety, but you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to improve it. You'd rather talk about hair loss, which has its place. I've done videos, but for me, that's not as important. If you're losing your hair, but you're taking action every day of your life's going to be amazing, regardless of whether you've got hair or not. I'm just talking pure truth here, pure facts. I've had loads of clients who are completely bald and they get a beautiful girlfriend, they make money, they make friends, and they go on and do amazing things in their life. So it's irrespective of whether you've got hair or not, it's who you are as a person, it's how you act. I want to come up with a new name. Most of you are no act, no action. Not just no fat, no act. You're not acting on your dreams. You're just quoting phrases and words from other people. You'll just quote anybody who's successful and famous online, but have you noticed they're not quoting you? So don't live a sad life and be a fanboy. Be someone that you look up to, but you can only do that by being relentless and facing your fears and sticking at it for a long time. You can't just do it for a weekend and say, oh, I faced my fears, nothing happened. You've got to do it for your whole life. So even things like diet, when I speak about diet, no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to go there, because if you talk about diet, you've got to look at the fact that your diet's dreadful. And I had to do this, that's why I changed it. See, that's having good character as a man. When you can look at yourself and say, yeah, this is an insecurity of mine, this is an addiction, this is a problem for me, but I want to improve it. And I'm open, I'm going to take the advice from someone who knows better than I do. That's how I improve my diet, guys. That's why I personally look better now than I did when I was younger, because of the diet and the training and the nutrition. I got advice because I didn't know much about diets my whole life. I used to think I did, a little bit ignorant like a lot of you are. And then I realized eventually you get to a point where you have to face the truth. When you're fat and you're overweight, you've got a big belly, you have a double chin, you're out of breath, you're unhealthy, you're up, you're down because of the sugar highs, the bad food. And then you go, you know what? I don't know shit about diets, because if I did, I wouldn't be in this shape. I've got to speak to someone who's in great shape, who does know about good diets, who lives it. And that's what I did. I got help and advice from a good friend. And I continue to get it. So all I do on this channel, I just spread positive things. But once in a while we have a little rant and I call out the bullshit. Because I'm not just gonna sit here and play these games. You'll play these games of your low level friendships, which are fake, where you got all these, what they say, misery always has company, and that's why most of you are miserable. No personal responsibility. So I always know where a guy's at. If he starts quoting facts to me and recommending books too much, and recommending videos and podcast shows, even though podcast shows are great, I know he's not living any truth in his life, hardly anything. I know he's bullshitting himself and he's trying to bullshit me, and it's not gonna work. Because the Irish saying, you can't bullshit a bullshitter, because I spent many years of my life, this is a long time ago, but I went through over a decade being a bullshitter as well. I wasn't accountable, I wasn't taking action. I was a miserable man, that's why I struggled as well. Same struggles all of you are having now. I had those back in the past, but not anymore. I changed it. I changed my relationship with women, that's fantastic. And changed it with, taking action. So, it's the whole thing, isn't it? It's the critics, it's the cowards who are not in the arena, who are going to criticize the man who is, the audacity, the weakness in that, and that's why they don't get any respect throughout mankind. So you've got to be careful of doing that, man. Don't criticize someone who has something that you want that you haven't got, because you'll never get it. So in other words, don't be a hater, don't be jealous of other people, work on yourself. So then there's no jealousy, because you're so confident and you're so, you're building so much momentum that you're not in that place. So most of you are, it's obvious you're in the wrong place. I mean, anyone could see that and know that. But I try and change that, try and help as many of you as I can. And I always have a great delight helping people. All I like is gratitude. That goes more than comments and likes and this and that. I don't care about, I don't want to be worshipped and things like that. I'm not into that, it's fake. But it's nice when someone is grateful and they take the advice and they make the changes and they're a better person. And then it's lovely to have a conversation with you, because you have nice positive energy rather than that toxic, misleading, manipulative, cowardly little weak energy that no one wants to be a part of, and I certainly won't. So boxing, public speaking, learning leadership skills, dieting, powerful things. I'm going to add another one, which is so important. None of you are going to want to talk about this, probably 1%, 0.1. Sales skills, learning to sell. Your ability to make money, not just to make money, because that would be really small-minded, and I know that is a part of it. Selling skills is about learning how to build relationships with people. It's learning how to communicate. It's learning how to add value. How many of you even want to talk about that? None of you want to talk about that. None of you sit and go, Johnny, could you help me to add value to other people? Could you help me to be better at selling? And I've told you again and again, if you took my advice, all of you guys are going to make more money than you're making. You can do whatever you want. The art of selling is honesty. It's honest communication. The same art and essence as being successful with meeting women or building friendships is honesty. And most of you are struggling because you're not honest. You're not honest with people. You haven't got the guts. And you haven't got the guts because you haven't been doing the training. You haven't been working out. You haven't been dieting. You haven't been challenging yourself, facing your fears. So you continue hiding behind Nofap and you see how far it gets you. Most of you haven't got a relationship. It's not right. Come on, guys. If it was that good, why ain't you got a girlfriend? It can't be that good. Or maybe Nofap is good, but you're not following it properly. Probably a combination of both. Why don't, if it's so great and the benefits are so great, why are all of you still single? And you're not single by choice. You're single because you don't want to be, because you're not working on yourself. You're not doing public speaking. You're not working on these different areas that if you did work on these areas, you'd be so much more attractive and confident, and women would find you more attractive. So if you can't handle a man helping you out, and to help you, you have to. This is how I was brought up. This is how my father helped me and really strong men. It was hard. I know it's hard listening to this because they would tell me, first, the best teachers usually, they always tell you where you're going wrong first. Any teacher who doesn't tell where you're going wrong first is probably not a good teacher. They're not being honest. They do it in the boxing gym. The best mentors, I do it. Obviously, we try and do it from a good place, but it might not always be received that way. It can sound like someone's having a go at you, but they're not. They tell you where you're going. I'm telling where all of you are going wrong. You're using things like Nofap to hide behind, and you're not taking enough action, enough personal responsibility. And if you change those two things, you'd be a different person. Your whole outlook would change, and we'd have a different relationship. Right now, the relationship is, you're going to hate me, you're not going to like me. I couldn't give a toss. Because I'm not going to have I can't do it. I can't have fake relationships with people. Life's too short, life's too wonderful, I'm too happy. So I doubt many of you made it to the end of this video. If you did, then that means you have a potential to improve. We're going to finish up soon. So when we really get down to it, that's what I saw. And like I said, I remember when Nofap first came out, I thought it was excellent because I agreed. I was pretty much doing it and teaching it. It was a proportion of my teaching, which is to stay away from porn. Basically, stop masturbating, stop watching porn, and go out and get a real relationship. I think that's really what it's saying. Unless you're on a spiritual journey, and I respect that, and you just want to abstain from all that kind of stuff because you want to develop. But most of you don't want to do that. You lie. You use that as a crutch. So it's not really, like I said, it's not having a go at the actual Nofap. It's the behaviors of most of you guys that follow it. Most of you guys follow it wrongly, follow it blindly. It's not working for you. How comes it worked for me and many other people? I don't have these problems. I've got a relationship. And I've been having consistent relationships for the last 10 years. Why is that? Because I've done the work. I've done public speaking. I added value to people. I learned sales skills. I worked on boxing, self-defense. I worked on diet, and I'm still working on stuff. None of us are at the finished article. So you can do it, but you gotta put a lot of effort in and go through a lot of suffering. And even when you say the word suffering, it's like people run off the video. But if I was to do another video and we talk about McDonald's hamburgers, everybody comes on the video because it's very relatable, very dumbed down, it's not that intelligent, there's no awareness, there's no effort used, and everyone can relate to a McDonald's hamburger. And it doesn't take much intelligence to talk about. So if you want to stop talking crap and have people respect you, then you got to change your actions. And like I said, the biggest problem I'm seeing is not Nofap, it's no action. You're not acting enough. You're not going out. I don't mean acting as an actor in films. I mean acting on your fears, your goals and your dreams. And you know it. And that's why you surround yourself with people who reinforce your bullshit. Many others have spoken about this. I'm not the only one. I've said this before. So one of the consequences of a coward is someone who will always make excuses and hide behind stuff. You know, why ain't you doing the things that I've said? Why aren't you doing YouTube videos? Why aren't you doing public speaking? Why aren't you going to events? How many of you on the live stream come to my events? Zero. The ones who come don't really comment. They don't argue, they don't intellectualize, they have that respect, they just come along, they email me, they come, they're brilliant people and they grow and they improve. Many of you won't come, not just to my event. I don't take it personal. I don't take it personal at all. You won't. I've pointed you to go to other events. You won't go. You're stubborn. You will not go. So at some point, you got to stop blaming everybody else, hiding behind Nofap, hiding behind diets, hiding behind little hacks, and you got to look at yourself and say, what's going on here? What is going on here? I'm not facing my fears, you know, because of pride, because of sensitivity, because of ignorance, because of having no bottle, no balls. And if you want to live like that, then go ahead. But clearly you don't, because most of you will be verbalizing your pain through one way or another. So I take it as a compliment. My videos are even better. They've got better every year. Of course they've evolved, they get more and more truthful. And the reduction in views is because people don't have the intelligence to take the information in. They just can't do it. And I realize that. So sometimes I've got to water it down and mix it up, because some people are just not at that level. I understand that. But of course, to wake people up, you have to talk at a higher level to stretch their imagination, their intelligence, their awareness, and just hope that they will be open enough and they will start to wake up, learn and educate themselves. Educate themselves in more life skills, social skills, and awareness of themselves and others. And all this is developed through action, not through reading books, not through paraphrasing, quoting, certainly not through watching. Even though watching podcasts is really fun, it's like watching movies, and I watch them, but I watch them after taking massive action. But if you don't take action and you watch podcast shows, you become toxic. That's really the way it goes with everything. So why not be the guy who not only watches YouTube videos but makes them? Why not be the guy who doesn't just watch podcast shows but has his own podcast show? That's my passion, to get people to take action. Why not be the guy who is not just doing Nofap, but is transforming other people through his teachings of Nofap and getting them to stop doing that and getting them relationships? Why not be that guy? Well, two reasons. Because you allow fear to stop you being that guy. You don't want to go through rejection to get there. So developing skills, speaking skills, social skills. Most of you got poor social skills, really poor social skills. Develop that, get that really good. Anyway, I rest my case. Appreciate all the support, even the criticism, all of it. It's all fun. This is all fun and games. I take it serious, but I have fun with it as well. It's challenging, and that's how you keep growing. All this is positive for me, all right? Fearless.